This will be a vid analyzing the decision making of my gameplay in Strive, while having gameplay in the background. The topics to discuss will be step-by-step decisions on opening up the opponent, deciding what pressure or combo to use in the moment, coin flips, scrambles, instilling fear of an option, capitalizing on fear, knowledge checks, playing heavily to Nago's advantages, and knowing when to gamble. This video is purely my train of thought as the game goes on. Let's begin with round start. Round start is one of the most important moments in the match while playing with or against Nago, as he can easily snowball the round if he gets a round start that puts him at advantage. Personally, I know most round start options against most of the cast, but a few examples are 5k and 2k, which are Nago's god buttons, and against most characters, it is a very safe round start since it beats most options. If you want a very good counter hit, or you want to start your offense quickly, you should use DP as it beats a lot of options in the game and people have to specifically play against it by doing round starts that you can exploit yourself as well. We're going to talk more about DP in a bit, but the last round start that I like doing is Fukio back and maybe Beyblade depending on if I see them act or not, and if I do, I Beyblade and I get a knockdown with an OTG and I get to start my pressure quickly while keeping myself safe from most of their round start options. Now, after breaking your round start, you have to see if you got a hit, if you got a block, or if you attack whiffed because they up backed or they backdashed. If you did get a hit on round start, now your goal is to capitalize as much from that single hit as you possibly can. If you hit a DP counter hit, you have to consider whether they have a burst or not. If they do, then you have to do a blood safe combo that will not end in you popping. For example, DP, both hits, Beyblade, DP, then Fukio forward, and close slash, and then far slash Rekkas, which will end in a wall splat, and then you can wall break them. Now let's say you got a DP counter hit, and they don't have burst. Kill them. Go for the Blood Rage wall splat, and give them a mix-up that's very hard to react to, which I went over in another video, but it basically results in a high, a low, or a throw. All three options are very hard to react to. And depending on the character health, they will probably die if they guess wrong, so round start DP for Nago pretty much decides the round, if it counter hits or if it even normal hits because it gives you your pressure instantly. I focus a lot on round start since Nago can take whole rounds purely off of round start. Now let's go over pressure if they block your round starts. This is where knowledge checks come into play, and you have to check if they can react to Fukio. So if they block DP, you either get to Fukio at them or use clone into Fukio to make the pressure start in a safe way, which they can grab out of if you don't space it correctly, but it gives you a command grab mix-up as well. If they react to Fukio once, you have to internalize that idea, and next time you need to use Fukio, you can do short Fukio back into DP and punish them for checking. I'll be making a guide on pressure strings, so I won't go into detail about pressure. Now I'll go over some situations that people like putting Nago in, and how you deal with them. Let's start with blocking and fuzzy jumping. I usually only go for command grab if one of two requisites are met. Number 1, I have meter to fix a mistake if they backdash or jump out of it. And number 2, I can tell they don't fuzzy jump, so I capitalize on the guessing game that they have to play. You realize they know how to fuzzy or not based on whether they are guessing right several times on your strike throw. If they don't, you get to play a coin flip simulator, where you decide where you're going to throw or strike at random, as you're doing pressure and you want to open up the opponent. My go-to option to force him to guess is using meaty 2k or close slash, and just let Fukio momentum get me close to them. If they respect my options, you can go for command grab, after their grab invul is gone. And if they don't respect you and mash, you can go into 6k next time you meaty them, which can result in a counter hit that gives you a free command grab or a combo. If they do know how to fuzzy jump or you see them up back a lot, you want to use 2k into 6k or 2k into 2d a lot more, or close slash into 2s to catch their jumps. Some people only do fuzzy jumping as their defensive option, and if you have the read on them, you can just wait a sec and do 2h to be extremely plus with their hit stun frames. If you don't want to commit too much with a 2H, you can Fukio forward and air grab if you see them jump up, or you can anti-air them if they like to air dash out with a close slash, 5p, or 6p. It is very important to identify your opponent's defensive strategies and exploit them. If you want to catch them blocking low and they aren't just fuzzy jumping, you can use tap dusts into Roman cancels. which give you a lot of damage. Or, if you have meter to spend and you need to get blood back, you can use the /Rekkas into Roman cancel Fukia forward. This gives you a true strike throw. And if you're in the corner, you can do the same Roman cancel, but Roman cancel upwards, and this gives you a strike throw and high-low mix-up. That, if they decide to mash on the last Rekka, also gives you a very big burst safe combo. Now, as far as deciding what combos to use when you do get a hit, you need to know most common conversions. And have an all-in combo, a big damage but blood safe one, and a blood return combo. I'll go into these in another video, but you decide which one to use based on your resources and how the match is going. Also take into consideration what their options will be after you finish the combo. Does it hard knockdown and give you a meaty? Does it end in a wall splat? Do you have meter to wall break with a super, etc.? You also have to consider if they have a reversal and meter to cancel said reversal. As far as scrambles go, you usually have to know your options and their options pretty well, but I try to play RPS heavily since it's weighed in Nago's favor most of the time. This next section is instilling fear. Ever been counter hit by Nago? It's not fun at all. People are usually scared of getting hit by Nago because of his insane damage after counter hits, so they tend to play respecting him a lot. And you have to capitalize on this by making them scared to press during your pressure. You do this by starting out with Nago's fun mix, fishing for counter hits, frame traps, and when they stop pressing, you get to run the funny mix, where you get to do anything you want to. Since Nago is such a free flow character, Fukio back and forth to see if they check it, you can command grab and go for more grabs afterwards with frame kills. You want to play fishing for big counter hits, constant knockdowns, and capitalizing on the hits you get, as well as intimidating them. These are Nago's advantages. He has high health on low blood, massive buttons, great screen control, and extremely high damage and returns from straight hits, as well as some of the scariest pressure in the game. Simply put, if you get a command grab, you probably win the round, since you have so many options, from frame kills to repeat command grabs, to just Fukio a bunch and mess with them. Personally, I like fishing for cool stuff to get for a clip, or trying to sync stuff to the music I'm listening to, which makes me play in a very specific kind of manner. After you successfully intimidate them and make them respect you, you can start putting stuff in like a Fuki forward into throw, which is very hard to react to and will catch people off guard when they're too busy respecting or afraid of your pressure. Gambling. The funny part. This is a big mind game with your opponent on how much risk you're willing to take. Being on 2 bars of blood and doing several specials knowing you'll blood rage, only to catch them off guard and winning a round because of it, or being on low blood and going for command grab since they won't expect it. You should gamble when you are almost certain they will fall for it. And if you have meter to fix your mistakes, it's even better. Speaking of, now we're going to go into meter usage. Assuming you already know what Roman cancels do, here's my thinking process to use tension and burst. For tension, I like to use it to get out of pressure as a YRC since Nago doesn't have a reversal without meter. I also use it to fix mistakes like missing a command grab, extending pressure while returning blood with /Rekkas, giving me a mix-up with Roman cancel into Fukio, which is a strike throw option where they have to guess. If they grab you out of this Roman cancel mix, you can do a short Fukio, which will make them whiff their grab. This setup is very strong and reliable as a pressure extender, and you can also do 8-8 RC in the corner, which gives you the mix I covered before. The other use for Roman cancel is to get those big damage Nago combos that look like something Slayer would do in Exard. If you're on high blood and you get a big counter hit with a slash or a heavy slash, you can Roman cancel into a short but strong combo. And you can also do short combos in order to not let them build burst meter, cashing out on big damage quickly. I usually never Roman cancel from a 2k2d since the knockdown is a lot more valuable than to get a high damage scaled combo that won't do much. 5k into 6h on the other hand is a great point to use Roman cancels, since the scaling is pretty good and leads to high damaging routes that might win the round. Now we're going to go into the funny Roman cancels, which are blue Roman cancels. I love to get a knockdown, Fuki forward, and blue Roman cancel backwards to react to their wake up option. If they do nothing, you still get your pressure, or even a sneaky Fuki forward throw, and if they do something like DP or reversal, you get to clown on them in slow-mo. It's an option that lets you watch what they do and react accordingly. I also use blue Roman cancels after a wall break on the knockdown if I decide not to super. Same logic, it lets you see their options and react. You just have to throw a fast button and you get a good combo into a knockdown, or a strike throw mix-up with a command grab. Learn some BRC routes to punish DP, or improvise, and abuse BRC. It's really good. Now, the most important part of the game when playing with or against Nago, bursting. Burst is crucial to take Nago down, and as Nago, it is very exploitable to burst bait your opponent, since Nago has burst save combos. Learning these routes is very important, since if you bait someone and it works, you'll probably win that round and the match, since burst is one of the things that saves people from having Nago blow them up with his outrageous damage. Here are tips bursting against Nago. Never burst a close slash. Always burst after he's used up 2 specials, or after a 2D if they aren't baiting your bursts after unsafe hits. Don't always burst the same buttons in combos, since they can easily bait it with a Fukya back if they have the read on you and if you've been doing the same burst every time. If you get Nago full screen on high blood, you can easily take him down with projectiles, good spacing, anti-airing his slow jump-ins, and not getting greedy. If you burst him when he's going for a blood rage setup, that's pretty much a round 1 with how easy it is to kill Nago after he blood rages with 50 meter. Always use your longest combos. It is not about the damage, it's about making the combo last long enough for his health to drain down as well. You should learn a specific Nago killing route with only 50% meter, as everybody in the cast has access to one. Now, using burst as Nago can be weird in my personal aspect. It relates to the gambling part, but when you have a read on someone, you can gold burst them and use meter to mess with them, or scare them with pressure, with highs, lows, using tap dust into Roman cancels, and any other crazy mixes you come up with. Usually, you want to gold burst when you finish your pressure, and you know they'll try to take their turn, but it's very risky and you should only do it after conditioning them not to respect the end of your pressure. Defensive bursting is hard to advise since everyone plays differently, but my biggest advice is knowing which moves aren't burst safe and watching carefully if the opponent burst baits or not. I usually go for a burst after 2 hits in a combo since it's a lot harder to burst than the first hit. But that's pretty much everything I have to cover with this video. I will be making other videos on combo routes, pressure strings, and other stuff like that, but for now, this is what I have when it comes to mindset and thought process when playing Guilty Gear.